The studio was already simmering when the subject shifted to Simone's red card at Anfield, but what began as a tactical argument over a referee's decision soon became something far hotter. A battle about respect, humiliation, and how rival fans treat real people on the pitch. Tomás Roncero, a fixture of the show and one of its loudest defenders of Real Madrid, moved from analysis to accusation, his voice tight with irritation as he described a pattern he said he had watched for years, that whenever Madrid visit the Metropolitano, the atmosphere crosses a line and insults aimed at Vinicius and other players become demeaning rather than competitive. He didn't couch it as a passing complaint, he framed it as a moral demand, insisting that equality in condemnation matters, that if someone like Simone should be criticised publicly, then the chants and slurs at Atletico grounds should be condemned with the same force. The room reacted with the awkward cadence of live television, interruptions, rebuttals, the host trying to steer the flow, but the tone had already shifted. When Josep Pedrol stepped in, trying to defuse the conversation by pointing out that the current thread was about Colo's grievance with a Liverpool gentleman, the exchange only slid further toward personal ground. Then Quim Dominic, with a cutting offhand line, suggested that perhaps Roncero's presence was best limited to Madrid-specific moments, that he should be brought out only to harp on his club. It was a phrase that landed like a slap. Roncero's face hardened, the kind of small twitch at the corner of a mouth that warns of a larger storm. What followed was brief and electric. Roncero demanded to know who had the right to define the show's editorial line. He bristled at the implication that he was expendable, and in a voice thinner and sharper than what viewers usually hear, he asked the question that turned a debate into a headline: did they want him to leave? For a breathless beat, the studio fell silent, microphones amplifying the tension. Pedrerol, usually unflappable, seemed genuinely taken aback. The almost walkout was not theatrical posturing, it felt like a raw boundary being tested in real time, a public figure asserting dignity against what he perceived as belittlement by colleagues, but Roncero didn't walk. Whether it was calculation, pride, or a fear of burning a bridge that he'd cross rarely, he stayed. He endured the barbs and the uncomfortable asides, the conversation continuing but forever tinted by that flash of anger. The choice to remain speaks as loudly as the threat to leave. On one hand, walking off live could have been an irreversible act, a dramatic exit that might close doors. On the other, staying allowed him to register his protest visibly while preserving his role in a program that rarely forgets or forgives public ruptures. The tension between principle and pragmatism, between making a point and keeping a platform, is as old as commentary itself, and the night's exchange put that dilemma on full display. Beyond personality clashes, the episode revealed deeper fractures in how modern football debates are staged. The show's dynamics depend on strong voices, predictable camps, and theatrical friction. Yet when a pundit turns that friction inward, when colleagues question another's place on the panel, the spectacle becomes a mirror exposing the production's own vulnerabilities. Who gets to speak? Whose grievances are legitimate? And how much editorial control should producers or hosts exert over recurring personality? The argument over a red card at Anfield thus became a proxy for these wider struggles. Regional loyalties, the policing of acceptable language toward players, and the fragile egos that populate sports media. For viewers, the drama offered a moment of clarity and discomfort at once. They saw a journalist who can be gladiatorial in defense of his club demand reciprocity and decency, and they saw colleagues test him in a way that forced a public reaction. For the show, it was both a ratings gift and a reputational headache. Sensational moments drive conversation, but they also force internal reckonings about tone and boundaries. And for Roncero himself, the night will be remembered as the time he almost walked away. A fracture that was closed for now, but one that might come back into tension the next time a colleague's words cut too close to the bone. The question left hanging at the end was as simple as it was charged. When the line between punditry and personal pride is crossed on live television, who moderates the fallout? The host, the panel, the producers, or the viewers themselves?